Here we go. How's it going, everybody? We are talking about politics today, so if anybody's got a question about politics, let me know in the chat. I am back from tour. I am home, and I am ready to answer all of your questions about politics. So if you got any questions about politics, hit me up in the chat, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. I know that politics can be really intimidating, and you don't know anything about it. I was really intimidated by politics when I first started getting into it, and so you're never going to get roasted or judged or ridiculed for not knowing things here on my channel. I am available to answer all of your questions about politics. There's no judgments, there's no debating, there's no roasting. It is just good faith answers to all of your good faith questions. No roasts, no debates, no judgments. You don't got to worry about, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of I'm some sort of MAGA fanatic, or if I ask this, he's gonna think I'm some sort of squishy cucktard. There's no judgments here. There's no roasting. There's no debating. Julie Lynn says, "What is the best way to learn the view of the other side?" Talk to people in person, because don't talk to random people on the internet about it, because if you don't know that it's a real person, then you don't know that you are getting a real, accurate view of what a real person believes. Agent I says, "Are you worried for the economy right now?" 100% without question. Jeep Man says, "Will Trump throw Elon under the bus for cheating on election?" I don't think so. So far, Trump has only said very vague things about quote unquote stealing the election. I don't really rate it all that much. I think it's kind of dumb that he is saying these things that could be misconstrued in that way. But until we have any kind of hard evidence that we can take to the Supreme Court and say, look, this election was decided fraudulently, then we can't live in conspiracy theory world and say that Trump is admitting that he stole the election, But will Trump throw Elon under the bus? Absolutely. He doesn't give a shit about throwing people under the bus. He'll throw his own fucking kids. He'll throw his mom. He'll throw his dad. He'll throw his wives under the bus. There aren't enough buses for people to throw Trump under. He is so willing to throw people under buses. He will commission the creation of more buses for him to throw people under. But thanks for some excellent beginning questions, everybody. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. You can ask me anything that you like about politics. I'm here to answer your questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. There won't be any roasting or debating. There's no judgments. You don't have to worry about, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic. Or, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of squishy libtard. I'm not going to make fun of you for not knowing things. I'm not going to make fun of you for being not the same political ideology as I am. All good faith questions will be given a good faith answer. Let's see here. Millie Escapes Narcs says, "I've given up on the Dems saving us." Millie, I completely agree with that. Because the Dems don't have the resources to save us. They are a big tent party, so there are too many cooks in the kitchen. They also don't have as much money as the Republican Party does, because the Republican Party is in bed with the billionaire class and oligarchs in other countries like Russia. The Dems are not going to save us, not because they don't want to, and not because they can't, but because they don't have the resources. Even if we gave them all of our money, they would not have the same resources as Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and Mark Zuckerberg and all the fucking ding-dongs that are fucking us over right now. We are the ones who are going to save us. Millie. So, you say you've given up on Dems. I hope you haven't given up on people. Also, you should vote for Dems still, because they are still the better party. Glenn Geln says, "Do you think stateless, moneyless is possible?" I would need to read more on that. It seems a little fanciful to me. It seems a little, utopian. Maybe that is far in the future. Dylan, are you a Trump supporter? No. God Miss Sin says, "Why does everybody hate Trump?" Because he's an unbelievable piece of shit who hurts everybody that comes in contact with him. He's a fucking liar. He's a grifter. He's a con man. He's dumb. He's insulting. He's racist. He's divisive. There's so many reasons why people hate Trump. Paul Peters says, "You look like you have nothing to lose." I have lots of things to lose. Breckles says, "So Dem leaders not stepping up. So is it up to the people?" Yeah. But it's not about Democratic leaders not stepping up. Like, the Democratic Party gets shit on no matter what they do. If they do too much, if they do too little, if they're too far to the left, if they're too far to the right. The Democratic Party is like Schrodinger's political party, where at any given moment, they are at the same time too far to the left, too far to the right, doing too little and doing too much. So I don't really give a shit. I'm not here. I don't believe in taking pot shots at the Democratic Party because they're trying their best. Like, they're trying to do good work for us. If if a friend of mine bakes me a cake and then trips on the way and then drops the cake on the ground, I'm not going to be like, "You fucking idiot," when all my other friends were actively taking cake out of my apartment. Let's see here. Wildcat Girl says, we don't have a chance to save us till 2026, I think. That is not true, Wildcat Girl. There's always work to do, especially in non-election years. There is work to do. So yeah, like, look at the shit that Bernie Sanders is doing. He is out there. People are yelling at their representatives at their town halls. This political pressure does make a difference. Maybe it doesn't do everything. Maybe it's not working as fast as you want it to, but it definitely makes a difference. So do the work. Everybody should be doing the work. Tucker says there are 3 House seats up for special election. That can flip the House. Tucker's right about that. Yeah, so not only do we not have to wait until 2026, we only have to wait until April 1st, because if you live in those 2 districts in Florida and 1 in New York, where there are special elections coming up, then, you can make a difference. You can make a difference right fucking now. Tucker says the Democratic Party is never too far to the left. Not according to lots of people, Tucker. Maybe that's not how you feel about it, but that is 100% the case. If you look at the criticisms of the Democratic Party, there are always people saying they're too far to the left. There are always people saying they're too far to the right. Over on Twitch, Fat Tony TV. What up, dude? What up with you, Fat Tony? Gamer Jam says, I think the government has a hard time managing money. Any human being has a hard time managing money. People make mistakes, especially giant organizations like the government could potentially have a hard time managing. But I think the big issue is, like, there are people in the government right now, mainly the Republican Party, who want the government to be bad at managing money and who are doing everything they can to make the government bad at managing money. And so if you want people to be better at managing money, then you should vote for people, you should elect people that make it their primary concern. And for all the fucking bluster that the Republican Party does about saying, like, we're the fiscally responsible party, they are the most fiscally irresponsible party of the 2 main parties that we have. They're incompetent. Look at the fucking, the tariffs are on, the tariffs are off, this person's fired, this person's not fired, we're shutting down this agency, that's illegal, okay, well, that agency's back up, hey, we fired everybody that's in charge of our nuclear weapons, that's probably a bad thing to do, I wouldn't trust those people with my fucking accounting, and I don't think you should either. Robert Burkick says, how much money do you manage? Enough. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what your point is here, bro. Let's see here. Estelia says, last week you recommended Rachel Maddow Presents Ultra. I'd like to highlight this again. Yeah, excellent podcast, Ultra. It is tight, guys. It is 2 thumbs up. Can't say enough things about the Rachel Maddow podcast, Ultra. Let's see here. Aiden says, love people like you saying how it is educate some people today. Yeah, I do what I can, Aiden. Jordash04 says, cutting wasteful spending is bad. Jordash, I don't know if you're a real person, if you're here in good faith, or if you're just here to spread right-wing propaganda. But if that's a sincere question, I'll give you the sincere answer, which is that is not what Doge is doing. Doge is creating chaos. Everything that Elon Musk says about, like, all the fraud and waste that he is finding is a lie. There have been a dozen things that have already been pointed out in the news that have shown, like, hey, this is bullshit. What he said is bullshit here. What he said is bullshit there. These numbers are inflated. This is not a real thing. In addition to the fact that what he's doing is illegal. Like, he is not allowed to do this. He is not an agent of the government. His agency has not been confirmed by Congress. He has no authority to be shutting down these organizations, cutting off funding, and firing people, and yet he's doing it. And in addition, he's not actually saving the taxpayers any money. He is, going after organizations that help the little guy, like, the Consumer Financial Protection Board and USAID. Those are also organizations that punish the top 1% if they break the law and investigate them. And he does not like the fact that USAID and the Consumer Financial Protection Board are going after his company, so he's trying to shut them down. So yeah, we're not saving any money here. Any money that we could potentially be saving, Trump is spending by fucking golfing every other day at fucking Mar-a-Lago and then charging Secret Service 3 times the actual rate for renting rooms at his fucking shitty-ass resorts because they have to be there because he's the fucking president, you know? So yeah. Yeah, that is the long and short of it, my man. Let's see here. Rich Poor 84 says 10,000 more manufacturing jobs last month because of him. That's pretty much. I'm pretty confident that is a lie, Rich Poor, because I know that the unemployment numbers are up. Let's see here, Tanner. Here's the thing, guys. I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but actually ask a question. You know, be part of the conversation. Otherwise, you're gonna get blocked if you just say some like right-wing propaganda shit. Vegans Teachers Twins says, what do you think about the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer having an extramarital affair? I don't know anything about it. I also really don't give a shit about politicians having affairs. You know, that's not what their job is. Their job is running the government, you know, and if you can throw as much shade as you want at Trump for having like 5 kids with 3 different women and, you know, being, you know, divorcing, 2 women and cheating on everybody that's ever been in a relationship with and shit like that. But yeah, you know, that is not even close to the top of my list of why he's a terrible person and a terrible president. Tucker says, every time a Republican gets in the White House, manufacturing jobs are less at the end of term. Is that true, Tucker? I did not know that. Let's see here. Rock and Stone Acquirement says, they just act like Trump is, say it makes it real. It's, you know, I think what you're saying is that the Trump administration lies a whole bunch and, you know, and then they just try to repeat the lies so that people believe it. 8, okay. The number 8, and then the words her and out says, yo, is Russia better than the US? No. Doomsayer says, why shouldn't we break apart since we all hate each other so much? I don't think we all do hate each other so much, and I think that that rhetoric like that is really damaging. I think that the powerful interests in the world have manipulated social media in order to make it seem like we all disagree with each other a lot more than we actually do. But we all mainly agree with each other. There is just some people on the far margins who disagree with the things that the greater population of America wants. And, you know, Russia and fucking shitty-ass billionaires and the people that own these fucking social media companies, they flood the zone with a bunch of fucking half-fake, half-useful idiot ding-dongs who just, you know, take pot shots at the other side so that we're not getting mad at the fucking billionaire class in the Republican Party that's in league with them. Rich Poor 84 says, you are a comedian, not politician. Stick to being funny. It's what you do well. Okay, Rich Poor. Well, I know a lot about politics, though, so I don't know what you're talking about. This person just did a big Trump thing, which, again, you're going to get blocked if you do that. I don't care if you have a different opinion than me. Rock and Stone Acquirement says, can I come over for dinner? No. Dribo says, what you think about ICE agents abusing power, breaking people's windows? I mean, ICE is a rogue agency, and they have been for a long time. They do not abide by the decisions that the executive puts over them or that the DOJ puts over them. They just do whatever the fuck they want. There is a shit ton of wasteful spending in ICE. They have also not, passed an audit since their inception. And yeah, they are rounding up people who are U.S. citizens. They are rounding up Native Americans. They are rounding up veterans. And they are rounding up people who are here legally just because they have different politics than them. And that is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. I think it is fucking hilarious that all these right-wing people who seem to give a shit about the First Amendment, including all these fucking piece of shit fake comedian podcasters who are just bending the knee to the most obviously authoritarian government in America's history, they have nothing to say about that. They have nothing to say about the fact that a pro-Palestinian activist just got fucking... Not only did he get detained, no charges filed, not only was he sent to a different state for no other fucking reason than just to scare him and his fucking family, they're saying not shit about that. They're not saying shit about this guy. Where's fucking Joe Rogan? Where's fucking Theo Vaughn? Where's fucking Andrew Schultz? Where are you guys? My fucking First Amendment hawks over here. The government is literally punishing speech, and y'all are fucking silent, man. Bunch of fucking hypocritical traitors, man. Right, let's see here. Alessandro says, podcasters have no business speaking seriously on U.S. policy. I mean, I think everybody is allowed to speak on U.S. policy. I don't think you need credentials, but I think that people should recognize when people are full of shit. And, quote unquote comedians like Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz and Theo Vaughn, who are just bending the knee to Trump and all these fucking piece of shit billionaires. They're full of shit, and I think people should recognize that. Dr. Warhammer says, have you ever read about mirror neurons in the human brain? Why politics actually exists in culture? I have heard of mirror neurons, but I don't know how it relates to politics. EF says, what are your thoughts on Biden pardoning his whole family in his final hours of his presidency? So, short answer, I don't give a shit. The pardon power is stupid. I don't think any president should have the power to unilaterally pardon somebody. I would sign that bill today if that was in front of me. So I'm not going to go to bat for Biden pardoning his family. Do I get it? Sure. The Republican Party has been using the Justice Department to attack his family for no fucking reason for a really long time, just as a political, football. So I get it. But if there's a list of presidential pardons that I'm going to get upset about, the Biden pardons are at the very bottom of that list because Trump has pardoned cop killers, he's pardoned drug dealers, he's pardoned domestic abusers, he pardoned all of the January 6 people. He was selling pardons with Giuliani for like $2 million a pop. So yeah, if you're going to get mad about pardons, I got a massive list for you before we get to Joe Biden and his fucking family. All right, over on John Abbott over on YouTube says, in addition to everything Doge has found being misinterpreted, very nearly all of the documents they've shown as proof are publicly available docs that any citizen could look up if they know how. That is completely accurate, John. So not only are they not routing out any corruption, they're also not showing you things that are not publicly available. All the secret documents that they say they're finding is another also complete and utter bullshit. Josh Boyanton says, how do you feel about the U.S. staying neutral while two dictators fight it out? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. What is that? Is that something? Lorin says, who did you sell pardons to? I never heard that. Google Giuliani selling pardons, and you will see what I am talking about. Heat Miser said, thoughts on Trump having a coin any foreign government can purchase anonymously? Yeah, the addition of Bitcoin and and meme coins into the arsenal of Trump's grifting is astonishing. Like, it is basically just opening up a valve for illegal foreign donations for the president. Now, anybody can bribe Donald Trump. You could bribe him before anyways. Like, it was already really easy. But the mechanisms by which more untraceable money can now flow into Donald Trump from just the worst, most malicious actors on the world stage is unfucking believable. It's also conning all of his supporters because he's charging like massive fees every time you want to buy, one of his stupid shit coins, Let's see here. Scott Croft says, yes, virtue signaling, you stand with no conviction. I have tons of conviction. Alessandro says, why are we focusing on Canada tariffs, allied with the U.S. for years? Is he crashing U.S. purposefully? So, if we're talking about motivations, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be a little bit hypothetical. Like, there are a lot of potential motivations for what Trump is doing. I think it's a lot easier to talk about, like, the effects that it is having, where it's hurting, it's hurting the 99%. It is hurting small businesses. It is hurting our relationships with other countries. It is hurting, global peace. It is hurting the global economy. It is hurting our economy. It is hurting the stock market. It's hurting all of our retirement funds. It's going to make production, less efficient, etc. Now, as far as like possible motivations, some people have suggested that they're trying to create a recession because then only the richest people will be able to survive, and they can then buy up all the, stocks and shit at a radically discounted price. There's also the suggestion that he's trying to weaken the economies of Canada and Mexico so that he can invade Canada and Mexico. There's a lot of potential, what do you call it? There's a lot of potential motivations, none good, none what he says, because again, he's a liar. Claire says, why don't billionaires lose money during recessions? They invest in stocks too. That's true. They have the ability to, what's the word I'm looking for? They have the ability to sort of like, to balance out their losses with other potential gains. So, they hire, top tier financial firms to make sure that they are diversified in the way to survive this kind of thing. They can tax write off all potential losses. But also, a lot of the things that, a lot of these losses are kind of hypothetical right now. Like, there's not really a loss until you sell, in which case the stock that you're holding on could eventually return to being valuable again. It is just vastly devalued now. So the people that's going to hurt are the people that need that money. And they're like, all right, well, now everything's more expensive. And, I got laid off from my job because that's another thing that the Trump administration is doing. And unemployment is up like crazy. So they're going to have to liquefy their assets, and they're going to have to take a hit on that because the market is so fucking down. Whereas billionaires can ride this out. They have no fucking problem taking a, multi-billion-dollar hit on their investments because they know that when, they decide to turn things around, when they start to end the stupid fucking trade war and then the market starts to go back up, they can buy everything up at a discount and, not even take any losses, not even realize any losses. CC says retirees are hurting right now. That is 100% accurate. Tyro Pillar, good to see you again. What's up? Right One says clawback billionaires theft of government services. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Lauren says, do you think he's trying to crash our dollar for Bitcoin? Lauren, sorry, well, you got a Y in there and you got an extra N as well. Let's see here. So Lauren, that is a theory that I have heard. But Bitcoin is I literally just heard this on the podcast. So Bitcoin is marginally connected to the market as well. So Bitcoin is also crashing. But yeah, that could also potentially be another thing that they're trying to make cheaper so they can all scoop it all up. Gavin says, why not mention the potential motivation of being in debt to the Kremlin? Why not mention the potential motivation of being in debt to the Kremlin? Oh yeah, that's a possibility. It's possible that Donald Trump is just destroying this country for no other reason than that's what Russia wants. That's another possibility. Daco Chick says, right now in Congress, they're voting to turn the IRS revenue crypto. That's terrifying. That seems like breaking news. I did not see that when I read the news this morning. Radio Sweetheart says, leave the country or stay. That is an individual's decision. I like staying. I like fighting. But I'm not going to lie and say that I have not considered it. I've definitely talked about it on this live, the fact that me and my wife are looking at options, But it's really scary. But at the same time, like, I'm seeing every day evidence that we can turn this ship around, like all these massive rallies that are happening, all these massive, town halls where people are, yelling at their elected representatives. People are flooding the phone lines. People are activated, and you're already seeing some cracks in the Trump administration, like that fight that that Elon got into with Rubio, all these court cases that they're losing, sometimes it's, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, but, it is working. And if we get more people to do it, then it'll work even more. Let's see here. Rob MD says Trump and Elon Musk are legends, legendary pieces of shit. That is completely accurate. Scott Clower says Republicans will stop doing town halls. That will not remove the political power of town halls. Like, you can still go to their offices. If they close down their offices, then we can go to D.C. And other Democratic leaders have suggested, like, listen, if they close down town halls, if your elected leaders close down town halls, then we will have those town halls, and we will talk about the things that we can all do to protect each other. And then when the election comes around, then you will know to vote for me because I actually fucking give a shit about you guys. There is work to be doing here, guys. The work starts now. Dr. Warhammer says, how do you have so much energy? I just got back from tour. I slept like 12 hours yesterday. I don't have a lot of energy. I'm running on fumes right now. Mr. ABC says, is time to be our brother keeper. We in this together, people. We more good guys than bad guys. I completely agree with that, Mr. ABC, even though you were missing a whole bunch of words in your sentences. Bell my lover says, divide and conquer. Isn't that what they want? Yeah, that's the reason why I say don't throw shade at other voters, regardless, There's all this fuck around and find out talk on the internet. And listen, I get it. Like, I get the schadenfreude of watching somebody who voted different than you having a shitty time because they voted for Trump and then Trump won. But at the same time, like that's not our enemy. We need to be focused on who our enemy is, and it's the billionaire class, and it's the Republican Party that is in league with them. And Donald Trump and Elon Musk stealing all our fucking money and putting it in their pocket and making things more expensive. Prices are going up. Unemployment is going up. The stock market is fucking crashing. Like, all the things that we're supposed to care about, First Amendment rights being shoved in the fucking garbage, checks and balances being unilaterally destroyed, consolidation of power, some real fucking dictator schnazi shit happening, guys. They're talking about, forming their own little private army, kind of, maybe we give them all brown shirts or something like that. Could be a fun thing that we could do. So yeah, it's terrifying and we need to focus. And don't let them divide us. When I say don't let them divide us, I'm talking to Democrats also, So like, if you're a lefty, if you're a good progressive like me, don't throw shots at the fucking centrists, because that's what they want. They want us fighting in the party as opposed to fighting the Republican Party and the billionaire class. And if you're a centrist and you think that all these fucking crazy blue-haired progressives are the ones that are ruining politics and the reason why we keep on losing, then don't. That's dumb. You've been lied to, man. You fell for the con. Let's see here. Jack says, "I happy to watch you going down." Are you making a aggressive, flirty advance at me because I am married? Let's see here. Jack SD, who do you want to be for the next president? AOC would be great. I agree with you, but I'm also not wish casting for 2028. I'm focused on let's fix the shit that's going on right now because we're in fucking dangerous territory. Let's activate people. Let's fucking get the work done. Let's let people know what the work is. Let's make sure that we are correcting all these bullshit narratives that take pot shots at the Democratic Party when the Republican Party is doing literal schnazi shit. Let's redirect the attention that people are, that's going on in the country right now. Fix some of these narratives. Focus attention on great organizations. But yeah, I'm not going to start wish casting 2028. Alessandra says, "Are you pro crypto and do you think Trump admin is full of nothing about it?" I am not pro crypto at the moment. It is not doing what it is supposed to be doing. It is a huge waste of literal electricity. All of the gains that we made in greenhouse, in green technology during the Biden administration have effectively been erased by artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. Is there a potential good use case for it in the future? Yeah, maybe, sure. But I do not see any value of it whatsoever right now, except for crypto and bilking people out of their money, except for, grift and cons and, people who can't afford it losing their money. And, Donald Trump being completely full of shit about it. Rock and Stone Aquarium says, "Right, we destroyed everything in 50 days. I remember that now." I don't know what you're talking about. Sabrina says, "What do you think about the college student with a green card getting deported for being pro-Palestinian?" I think it's a fucking travesty. I think it is an obvious violation of First Amendment rights. I think that it is unnecessarily cruel that they shipped him to a detention facility in a different state so that his fucking family, his extremely pregnant wife, can't even visit him anymore without getting on a plane. And any fucking right-wing ding-dong or quote-unquote comedian podcaster like Joe Rogan, who is supposedly so fucking First Amendment, like, why aren't they fucking up in arms about this, All these fucking... I'm as a fucking comedian, I fucking had it up to here with these guys, Like, these guys all want to fucking pray at the altar of Lenny Bruce and George Carlin and their fucking freedom of speech nonsense. Meanwhile, they're fucking bending the knee to the most obvious dictatorship shit that I've ever seen in my life. Unfucking believable, man. They should all be having special episodes today about this fucking pro-Palestinian, student who is here legally being illegally detained and shipped to a different fucking state. And everything that ICE is doing. And going after law firms just because they represented people that you don't like, man. Just like fucking blatant using the government to punish speech. Unfucking believable. Yeah. Let's see here. Crunchy Toe Liquor says, "How do you feel about Harris running in 2028 and her chances?" Again, I'm not really wish casting for 2028. Harris can do whatever she wants. I'm much more of a progressive than I am a centrist den. I prefer, the newer candidates that are on the younger end of the spectrum because I believe in that kind of generational change. So I'm not going to be the first on board if she does, decide to run, but I'll support whoever the Democratic candidate is because, again, Democrats are better. They are a lot better than the Republican Party. They are better than people know that they are. And the Republican Party is worse than people think that they are. That is one of my, one of the phrases on my, what do you call it? Like my coat of arms that they have, So yeah, it's one of my axioms or whatever. Lady Liberty says, how can you call yourself a progressive? Is that satire? I am a progressive. What did I say that's not progressive? Carmen Carter says, yes, this is not a race, religion, or political party. It is a class war, elite versus the rest. Yes, and the Republican Party is in league with the elites. They are working with the billionaires to fuck us all over and stomp on our necks even harder with their golden diamond-crusted boots. You know, they're all sitting on their fucking golden yachts, golden mega yachts, while we are fucking suffering here, you know? Let's see here. Mello says, the Republican Party appeals to people's prejudices to help the rich. Yeah, that's one of their things. You know, they have a lot of tools available to them. Let's see here. Ria Christine says, when does Trump's tax plan end? I don't remember. I want to say it's this year, but I can't remember. Mason Scott says, do you watch Jimmy Dore? You should check him out. If not, I know Jimmy. I think I know who he is. Yeah. Let's see here. Terry says, the wealthy know that the stock market will get dissolved like Russia. That's interesting. I have not heard a theory like that before. Let's see here. Wyatt Peppers says, I don't think I heard every millionaire celebrity endorse the Democrats. Yeah, well, there's a big difference between a millionaire celebrity and a billionaire. The difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is like the difference between the sun and a car. You know, it is massive, Wyatt Peppers. And the person that convinced you that the Democratic Party is the one that's in league with the billionaire class, they lied to you. Tejanu Love says, again, nothing to answer Democrat wasteful spending. I'll answer for it if you fucking show it to me, but I'm seeing way more waste on the Republican side. Lady Liberty says, you are not progressive. There is no way. Go back and listen to yourself. What did I say, Lady Liberty? Because right now it seems like you're just doing that intra-party fighting that I was literally just talking about. So you're sus as hell, Lady Liberty. Sus as hell. Let's see here. Lady Liberty still has not said a fucking thing that I said that was anti-progressive. Again, guys, this is not a real person, Lady Liberty. Is not a real person. This is a fucking robot who is trying to make you fight people within your own party. Let's see here. Natsu says, Big Dog, I know you want to talk about Ben 10 being better president than Trump. Just read my question. No, I don't, Natsu. And if you keep on spamming with that dumb question, I will block you. Rena says her bio says Patriot Girl. Yeah, Lady Liberty, you're completely full of it, man. Tejano Love says, billionaire don't pay or fund Democrats' elections. Yeah, but 75% of all billionaire donations went to Republicans. So yeah, just because a billionaire gives $100 to a Democrat doesn't mean that the Democratic Party is in bed with the billionaire class. You have to take the sort of like bird's eye view here. I'm telling you that 99% of all billionaires are in the pocket of the Republican Party and vice versa. And you're showing me like the one billionaire that works with Democrats, you know. You're literally cherry picking your data to prove your point. Jay Skippy says, what do tariffs do exactly? They increase the cost of things that are coming into the country, whether it is a finished product like a computer, or it is like a component, you know, like a piece of a computer, or like a rare earth mineral, or petroleum, or lumber, or whatever. There are definitely really smart ways to use tariffs, but what you don't want to do is just create a trade war out of thin fucking air, which is what the Trump administration is doing right now. Jared says, what does Putin have on Trump? I have no fucking idea. You know, there are lots of theories and hypotheses. Has he been a Russian agent since he was 40? Has, you know, is there a P tape or whatever? You know, is the Russian mob like threatening his life or something? I've got no fucking idea. What's useful, though, is to just think about what he would be doing if he was a Russian agent and what he would be doing if he was not a Russian agent. And the things that he's doing right now are exactly what he would be doing if he was a Russian agent. Let's see here. Jethro says, you are not a liberal. Why do you lie? Hey, we got another one. We got another one here, guys. Another one who is just trying to make it seem like I'm not a lefty or some shit. Like, I don't know what you guys think you're fucking accomplishing here, man. But, you know, anybody who has seen me live, anybody who's talked to me in real life, anybody who's sat through these lives, anybody who looks at my fucking videos, there's no human being who will come away from this not knowing that I am a progressive, you know? And yeah. Yeah, baby says, are you blue no matter who? I am, yeah, baby, but I think that phrase gets a bad rap. Because here's the thing. You can argue that means that you're not voting for the person, you're just voting for the party, and that's ignoring, maybe that's a really shitty person, so you're just going to vote for a shitty person over like a potentially good Republican. That's like what people say vote blue no matter who is. But what it actually is recognizing that there is value in the party platform in addition to the individual politicians. So Joe Manchin, fucking hate the dude. He's worthless, right? Kristen Sinema, completely worthless. But the fact of the matter is that they were good in 2020 for giving Democrats the gavel in the Senate. We were able to call things up for votes. We were able to control the agenda. We had more power because of those shitty Democrats than we would have if we didn't have them. And so when I say vote blue no matter who, I am saying that every Democrat is still better than every Republican, because at the core, Democrats have a better platform than the Republicans. And I would even go so far as to say that the Republican Party is so bad that any platform is better than the Republican platform. That's what vote blue no matter who means. It means the Republican Party is an existential threat. It means that every Republican politician, even if they're a good person like a John McCain, or even if they have the moral fortitude to stand up to Trump like a Mitt Romney or Liz Cheney, at their core, they are still about cutting regulations that protect people and cutting taxes for the billionaires who don't fucking need more taxes. They're just trying to do fucking more trickle-down economics when we have more income inequality now than during the Gilded Age, which is an age that was named after how bad the income inequality was. So yeah, every Democrat is better than every Republican. That's what vote blue no matter who means. Yeah, baby says, do you not see value in third-party platforms? Potentially, but not right now. There's only one third party that is doing it correctly, and that is the Working Families Party. They are slowly building up their support. They are slowly building up the infrastructure needed to win more than just local and state races. And they are working with the Democrats because that is the party that most closely aligns with their values, as opposed to the Green Party or the Libertarian Party or any of these other fucking bullshit parties that just do these runs for president every 4 years that are just ego-driven, cash grab, spoiler candidate, nonsense. So yeah, could there be a good third party option at some point in the future if we also had ranked choice voting? Jill Stein's a fucking potential I've seen a lot of evidence to suggest that she's an agent of the Russian government as well. Yeah, every third party right now is full of shit because they're not doing the work. They're not building any support. They're just doing these, again, ego-driven, cash grab, spoiler candidate runs for presidency every 4 years. And that's not what politics is. Politics is the work. It is talking to people right now, not in an election year. It is learning what the government... It's actually, when you hear something like, oh shit, is that an actual bill that exists? And then you Google it and you look it up and you go to the government's website and you see, all right, where is this? Is this in committee? Is this being voted on? Who signed on to this? That's the work. Big Z says, what do you think about the Christian Syrians getting prosecuted and the West not saying anything? I mean, I haven't heard anything about that, Big Z. There is some... Global affairs is such a massive topic that there are some things that just like slip through the cracks. I didn't hear anything about that. Gavin says, who'd you vote for? Democrats up and down the ballot. Jeremy says, even if she wasn't an agent, where's the work to build greens at the local level? Completely agree with that. Let's see here. Sound Sensei says, with Starlink taking over the FAA, could Russia invade through Alaska and we not know? That is a really interesting question, Sound Sensei. I have no idea. I think there are probably other mechanisms by which we could figure that out, like local news and, everybody's got a camera in their fucking pocket and they could just take pictures of the Russian military advancing on Alaska and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm much more worried about the grift, and I'm worried about safety. I don't know if you guys, I did a little Google on this because I was curious. Did you guys know that Teslas have the highest mortality crash rate of all vehicles that are in the market in America right now? The average, they have double the average score for crash fatalities. Teslas are number one. So we want that guy to be in charge of our fucking plane safety as well? Unfucking believable. This guy is stealing our money and he's making the products worse. Years ago, I said as a joke to a bunch of friends that if CEOs and billionaires could make money by crashing every plane, they would. And killing us all. And lo and behold, we're fucking seeing that taking place in real life. Jessica says, what do you think about Rubio saying Ukraine will have to concede land for peace? I mean, he's just towing the party line here. He is saying that Ukraine needs to give up, has to make concessions for peace. The Trump administration is trying to go even further and saying that the concession that Ukraine needs to make is Ukraine. Now, Rubio is, for all of his faults, Rubio has been in the past on the right side of this issue. And so I think that he's having that moral conundrum of knowing what he needs to do to keep his job and to stay in Trump's good graces and knowing what he thinks is right. And what he thinks is right is continuing to support Ukraine. So he's trying to toe the line here by being like, wow, maybe they could just give up Crimea and, blah, blah, blah. But the end game is whatever Russia wants. Because Trump is on Russia's side, not America's. Alrighty. Yeah, baby says, do you think the Working Families Party will just be absorbed by the Democrats? If so, would you support that? Or would you prefer stronger third-party representation? So that's a really interesting question. Yeah, baby. Because part of my political philosophy is that we can change the parties if we just vote for different people in the primaries. If we are more involved in politics, not just in the general elections every 4 years, and even in the general elections the presidential elections, we still only have like a 60% participation rate, which is fucking pathetic. And so just imagine how the midterms and the primaries and the special elections generally go. So my philosophy is don't form a third party, change the Democratic Party, like make it better. I just heard this interview with Bernie Sanders where he was talking about, he created the Progressive Caucus and, it used to be just him and another guy and now there's over 100 of them. And now the Democratic Party is better than it used to be. So, yeah, if the Working Families Party gets absorbed by the Democratic Party, then the Democratic Party just becomes a better, more progressive organization. I don't really see the value of getting rid of all the, infrastructure and name brand support that the Democrats have right now. But, I'm also not opposed to a party slowly building up their, their infrastructure and their support. And, let's say hypothetical situation, best case scenario, the Republican Party just starts losing vote share until the elections eventually come down to the Working Families Party versus the Democrats. And that'll be easier if we have ranked choice voting, of course, so that, we don't just split the vote and give more elections to Republicans. But yeah, I can see that as a possibility. I have long thought that the most right-wing politician who should ever be elected was Joe Manchin. And that the Democratic Party everybody talks about, we need a good opposition party. The Democratic Party is an opposition party because it has a left wing and a right wing, and they often fight with each other. So if there was only the Democratic Party, there would still be, a more left-wing candidate versus a more centrist candidate. And again, no politician should be more right-wing than Joe Manchin. Like, that's just completely psychotic. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question there, yeah, baby. I hope you found it informative. Human Rights Govern says, isn't the Democratic Party poisoned by the greed that holds the Republican Party? It is, but so there's a difference, right? Let's say it's a difference between you are married to somebody who has COVID versus you run into that person with COVID at the store. Your exposure is much higher when you are married to the person with COVID because you're sleeping in the same bed and you're potentially being intimate with each other and exchanging air molecules at a greater frequency and rate. But you are still exposed to it when you see that person in the store. There is corruption on the Democratic side, but there's a big difference. There is a huge difference between the corruption on the left and the corruption on the right. Not only is it more fully enveloped in the actual politicians themselves, there are more Republicans who trade stocks. There are more Republicans who have super PACs. But it is also the platform of the Democratic Party to legalize corruption and bribery. It's part of their platform to make this stuff easier to do. The Trump administration has already made a dozen moves to try to make corruption and bribery either easier, more legal, or harder to find and detect. They shut down that agency, I forget the name of it, that was just in charge of shutting down shell corporations or something like that. Like, why would you do that if you just didn't want to, do lots of corruption and grifting and bribing and shit like that? So yeah, I can argue that 10 ways from Sunday, man, but that's just the nature of the beast. I use a lot of analogies that are like this, that are just basically like, the difference is massive, It's like you're a store owner and there's a dude stabbing you in the neck, but instead you're going to yell at the kids that are reading magazines, Or you're an ER doctor and you're focused on the splinter when somebody's leg is like hanging on by a thread. Shit like that. El Javi 89 says, are all MAGA going to buy Teslas now because Trump told them to? I mean, if they can fucking afford it, good luck, guys. And also, those vehicles are famously not safe. So good luck with that as well. Lexi says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's different than what I was talking about. I think it was like a division within the Federal Trade Commission, or potentially a division within the FBI that was responsible for tracking the creation of LLCs so that they could stop shell corporations from being a thing. But I can't remember which division it was or which 3-letter agency it originally came out of, stuff like that. Lexi, you're welcome. I appreciate you being here. Stephen Taylor 7399 says, how do you feel about compulsory voting in the U.S.? I'm a voting nerd. I love voting, and I want to get everybody voting. I want to get voting participation up to 100%. I worry about potential knock-on effects that might have, because the American people do not like to be mandated anything, even if it is, not in their best interests. The American people, if they were mandated that you weren't allowed to have, bullets in your body, they'd be like, fuck you, I love my bullet that's in my chest right now, So, yeah, and they've done studies on this. I don't know if it's still true, but they have mandatory voting in Australia, and people tend to just, get hammered and then vote Republican, or more, not Republican, they don't have the Republican Party over there, but, vote more conservative as a consequence of that. And again, I don't know if that's true. I heard that in a John Oliver stand-up joke in, 2009. But yeah, so I worried about the potential knock-on effects of that. But let's try to do the work ourselves. Let's try to find the 85 million people who could have voted in 2024 and didn't. Let's find those people and let's convince them to vote, and to vote for Democrats instead. Trip Quick says, what can we do to combat the propaganda machine that is Twitter? I love that question, Trip Quick, because that's one of my big hobby horses. That's the other thing that's going to be on my, coat of arms, is that other phrase about Republicans are worse than you think and Democrats are better. And also that the reason why people think the way that they do about politics is because they're being lied to on all social media, not just Twitter. It is way too easy to manipulate social media if you have a lot of money and influence and power, and the Republican Party, working in hand with the billionaire class, does. So we need to take this information offline, and we need to talk to people in real life, and we need to make sure that they are getting the truth about what is happening and correcting the false narratives that they're seeing on social media. There was this story that came out in 2016 about a rally and a counter rally that were both created by Russia. It was a Facebook group called Heart of Texas that was against the Islamification of America. And then there was another group called Proud Texas Islamists or something that was freedom of religion, Both of these groups were created by Russia, and they were able to stoke real life resentment so much that they created a real protest and counter-protest just using their fake bullshit bots on their astroturfed Facebook groups. So we learned about this in 2016. There was a big story about this. And then we just continued using social media as though malicious actors are not manipulating it to try to create their own zeitgeist, to try to create their own vibes for what is going on in America. So yeah, the reason why there are people out there who think that the left is too far left, or that the Democratic Party is the party of the billionaire class, or that voting doesn't do anything, or that Donald Trump is a good businessman, or that Ukraine is a dictatorship and not Putin, or, insert your bullshit propaganda narrative that just happens to help elect Republicans and decreases vote turnout of Democratic voters. I do not view this at all as a coincidence. This seems to me to be the work of malicious rich pieces of shit. And so the sooner that we can all recognize that the internet is not real, that the people that you are seeing on there are lying to you, and it's sneaky sometimes. Sometimes it is a left-wing person who tells you don't vote because the left isn't left enough, and if you don't vote, it'll send that message to the Democratic Party. That person's full of shit. Or similarly, if you're like if you're a Republican voter who's like not fully MAGA, but you just don't like the way that you get yelled at by liberals on the internet, those liberals aren't real. They're not real. If I'm a billionaire and I want Republicans to win, and I know that I can turn off Republican voters by paying people to pretend to be annoying liberals on the internet, like, why wouldn't I? A lot of this is circumstantial, like I don't have a ton of, hard data and facts to support this, but it just makes sense, like every human that I talk to about this shit in real life is so fucking reasonable, and almost zero people that I talk to about this stuff on the internet are. So where does that take you guys? Like if we poll people, we know that they agree 70% with the Democratic platform and only 30% with the Republican platform. So why is it that people have this weird-ass view of what the Democrats are and what they stand for? Why is it that people on the left fight so easily with people on the right? Why is it that people on the right think that they're being fucked over by trans kids and immigrants when it's just billionaires? Why do people think that it's better to not vote than to vote? Why do people in red states vote for ballot initiatives that mirror the Democratic platform, but don't vote for the Democratic candidates who would just give them those things automatically? Propaganda, misinformation that I believe is created and amplified by the billionaire class, Russian oligarchs, and the Republican Party that is working in league with them. Alrighty, yeah, baby, we got a nice long comment over on Twitch. You bring up the public's participation in picking candidates to change the party. How can the public have influence when the Democrats pick their own candidates without public influence, such as Kamala's selection, or when the Democrats interfere with the public selection, such as when Hillary was going against Bernie? Excellent question, yeah, baby. But also, I think that this story has been overblown. So, number one, the Democratic Party did not pick Kamala Harris. She was the most reasonable selection for what was going on at the time, with about 100 days left until the presidential election, when parties usually, when candidates usually take more than a year to plan their run, who was going to be the person most well-equipped to step into this role? Who was the person who technically was voted for in the Democratic primary because she was on the ballot with Joe Biden? And additionally, the Republican Party was forcing the Democrats to come up with a candidate because certain key swing states that were run by Republicans were saying, you have to tell us who your candidate is before the Democratic National Convention, where you could have maybe had like an open primary, or we're not going to put your candidate's name on the ballot. And that is going to significantly hurt your chances of winning this swing state. That was not the DNC throwing out the will of the people. That was not the DNC ignoring primaries or canceling primaries or whatever. That was making the best of a bad situation. Now, as far as what the DNC did to support Hillary in 2016 and Biden in 2020, I agree that they shouldn't have done that. But if you look at the numbers, I am not convinced that Biden and Hillary would still not have won those elections, even without the DNC's assistance. Hillary Clinton destroyed Bernie Sanders in 2016, regardless of what the DNC did to help her. It was a fucking blowout. And I was a Bernie guy in 2016. I wanted Bernie to win. But the fact of the matter is he got fucking crushed. To the point where I don't think the DNC had anything to do with it. It was just too big of a wipeout. And same thing with Biden. Like all the centrist Democrats dropped out of the race so that Biden was the only centrist, and then all the other progressives were fighting for the other seat. But even if you added together all of the other candidates' votes put together, it would not have equaled Biden's by a long shot. So again, I don't think that what the DNC really did was, push the needle all that much. People assume that everybody has the same political beliefs as them. Everybody who's a Democrat thinks that every other Democratic voter is as progressive as they are. But they're not. People are weird and complicated. And so the way that you think that Bernie Sanders should obviously have been the candidate in 2016 because he had so much more passion and enthusiasm behind him. And he had the young people and they were out there on the streets and they were really doing the work. There were a lot of people who preferred Hillary Clinton. And some of that was, organic, and some of it was people thinking, like, Bernie can't win against the Republican nominee. So they're doing, like, their own strategic thinking. It's the same reason why Warren did so poorly in 2020. It was people thought, like, I like her, she's my favorite, but I don't think she can win against Trump in 2020. And same thing with Biden. People loved fucking Biden. People love Joe Biden. They did. He worked in government for a long time. He's a very charismatic and caring and empathetic person. He was not even my first, second, or third choice for who I wanted to win that primary, but he was a great president, and I can argue that 10 ways from Sunday. Doesn't mean he was perfect. Far from it. I think that his stance on Israel was unconscionable and impossible to argue for, impossible to defend. But, people fucking loved him. They voted for him en masse. There was a primary in 2024. He killed, I don't even fucking remember the dude that was running against him, the other Democrat that was running against him. He fucking killed him, So, yeah, there's my, what do you call it? Yeah, baby. Do you support Democrats taking third-party candidates to court to get them removed from the ballot? So, I need to do a little more research on that because my understanding of what happened there was that those candidates did not meet the requirements to be on the ballot. Those candidates could not have won nationally, and so the only thing that would have happened was they would have been spoiler candidates for the actual nominee. I need to dig into it a little bit more because I am not as confident in that because I've double-checked the numbers with like the 2016 race, the 2020 race regarding how much influence the DNC had in it. So I'm very confident in those arguments, but this one I'm a little less confident of. So check back with me. Yeah, baby. I'll look into it. Let's see here. Jesse K. Ducey 8 says, Biden has blood on his hands. Biden knew Uvalde would suffer. He would pay for a new school. Jesse, you're sus as hell, man. I don't buy this at fucking all. I do not buy this for 1 second that this is your main issue. That Biden promised that he would pay for a new school for Uvalde, and he didn't? What are you even talking about, my man? Wow. I don't think I would be this, aggressive about that comment if you had actually asked a question, I try to be nice to people who actually ask questions, but if you're just going to put stuff like that seems kind of bullshit to me, Unbelievable, man. Claire says, I don't know if you discussed already, but what do you think about Newsom on Charlie Kirk? Is he trying to appease the middle? Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different arguments about, Democratic strategy. It's another part of the reason why I don't believe in nitpicking Democrats when they do things, because it's people will be like, they tried coordinating their outfits and wearing pink during the State of the Union. What a dumb, lame protest. I'm like, I don't care. It's not what I would have done. I think Charlie Kirk is so obviously full of shit and obviously a propagandist. What is the value there? But at the same time, Bernie Sanders goes on Joe Rogan and Pete Buttigieg goes on Fox. And I think that those are good moves also. We need to be reaching people, and any attempt that people are doing to do that, I think is beneficial. So yeah, I wouldn't have done it. Gavin Newsom has done a lot of things that I disagree with. He's much more of a centrist than I am. But, I also think that he's done a lot of good. He's a good communicator for the party. He's done a lot of good things for California. He's made a lot of mistakes for California too, but I don't believe in painting politicians with that broad brush because it's just he did this. That means everything he's done is complete and utter garbage. What about all the good progressive shit that he did? You gonna yell at him about that too? Jesse K. Ducey, my sus participants of the moment. The FBI under the Biden administration knew of Ramos's social media posts beforehand. Wow, so we're blaming Biden for Uvalde? Good, unbelievable, Jesse. Yeah, I don't buy this for a fucking second, man. I hope that nobody in my comments is falling for it because, again, miss me with that nonsense. Ring Queen says, what mistakes has he done? You know, I gotta be honest, some of the examples that they were much more front of mind back in like early 2024 when I was in the middle of having this argument with people. Me and my wife moved to California a little while ago, and so I was talking to everybody about Gavin Newsom, and I was digging into it a little bit. So I had a really good list in my brain at the time of the mistakes and the good things, but that list is gone now. It's just been too long, so sorry about that. I'll dig into it. If I remember to dig into it and you come back, Ring Queen, then I promise I'll answer that question again. Or if you send me an email from our websites or my DMs are open, I'll try to respond to you there. It's the Rocketeer says, morning chat, has everyone made their representatives uncomfortable today? Yes, excellent call to action. It's the Rocketeer. All right, guys, we are at an hour. This is my my first live stream back since I have been on the road. I was doing stand-up all across the country for the last 2 weeks, and I am back now in my home, and I am feeling good, guys. If you will forgive me for a little bit at the hour mark, just a little biographical brain, what do you call it, stream of conscious here. I love going on tour. I love being a stand-up, but I'm an old man and I'm really tired of, by the time I get to 2 weeks, I am just done, guys. And so yesterday I got up really early and I went and I got myself a massage, and then I had to spend all day at the airport waiting for my flight. And then I came home, and getting home was a pain in the ass because my suitcase broke a wheel and it was very heavy, and I lost my sunglasses, and it was just a rough one. And then I slept a whole bunch. And I'm just so fucking happy to be home. And I'm happy to be in my apartment and sleeping in my bed and not having to worry about, all right, where am I going to get food? What time is the show? What jokes am I going to work on? All right, where are we tomorrow? How long is that drive? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm just tickled pink. And because I just got back, technically we're in the recovery stage of me being home, which means that I get to do whatever I feel like. I allow this is part of my self-care when I get home from tour. If I want to go to the movies, I go to the movies, So yeah, I'm very pleased and I'm feeling relaxed, and I'm glad to be back. So yeah, sorry. Thank you for sticking with me for that, for that, everybody. Yeah, and I was just really, and the last show of the tour was a fucking banger, guys. I've been on the road with my headliner Steve for a really long time, and I have a bad track record with the last show. The last show for me tends to be really disappointing, and I don't do as well, or I don't sell as much merchandise at the end of the show or whatever. But this one was just like killer set, killer Q&A. At the end of the show, we always do like a Q&A with the audience where they can ask us any questions that we like, and then we have like a lot of fun on stage with it. Fucking 10 out of 10, one of the best Q&As of the entire tour, one of the best shows of the entire tour. Yeah, I'm just tickled pink, guys. I'm in a good place emotionally, even though I'm reading the news and I'm fucking terrified and I'm worried about people. So yeah. Grandpa Jarrett indeed, Rena. Grandpa Jarrett indeed. Italiana, yeah. Biden is the reason why my suitcase's wheel broke. Ring Queen says, Gavin is a great candidate for president. Your thoughts? I would, again, I need to go back to my list of things that Gavin did right and things that Gavin did wrong. But he's exactly what the Democratic Party people think when they think we need a candidate who is non-controversial. He is tall, he is handsome, he is straight, he is a man, and he is not, a hardcore progressive. So yeah, is he quote unquote electable in the old politics view of the word electable? Sure. But, what's that guy's name? John Edwards, super handsome white dude. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton kicked his ass. So what does electable even fucking mean anymore, guys? I sometimes I feel like Democratic voters shoot themselves in the foot by thinking about the general election instead of just voting for who they want to vote for. And I don't know what the answer to that question is. We voted for Biden in the 2020 primary, and he won. He won by like this, but he did win. Would Bernie have won in 2016 or 2020? Would Gavin Newsom have won in 2024? No one can fucking know. And anybody that tells you that they do know is full of shit. I rate every fucking political commentator who is so confident of the reasons why Democrats lose elections, being that they were too far to the left or too far to the right or their messaging was off or blah, blah, blah. Sus. Sus as hell, guys, in my opinion. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not thinking about 2028. I'm thinking about special elections on April 1st, 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. If you are watching from Florida or New York, get on that shit. Do the work. Be part of the solution. Help. Be part of the resistance. You know, don't just sit on your ass and complain that the Democrats aren't doing what you think they should be doing. Do it. You do it. That's another reason why I don't believe in taking pot shots at the Democratic Party, because we have the power to change the Democratic Party by voting for different people in the primary, by going out there and supporting candidates that we like. You know, I was Katie Porter guy. Katie Porter got her ass kicked by Adam Schiff in the primary. You know, I sent Katie Porter money. I could have done more, but I didn't. So that loss is on me. The same way that I did plenty of work for Kamala in 2024. So I'm not taking the blame for that one, you know. But Hillary lost in 2016. I was butthurt about Bernie losing the primary. So I did not do any canvassing or making phone calls for Hillary in 2016. That loss is on me. You know, if you're doing everything that you can be doing to win these elections, then it is not your fault. Let's see here. Bain says, what happened to Cori Bush? I don't remember. I think she was one of the progressive wing that got ousted because AIPAC funded a more centrist candidate in her district. I could be wrong about that. I could be misremembering that. Bain says, what happened to Jamal Bowman? I'm guessing the same thing, Bain. It seems like you are leading into a specific thing that you want me to talk about. Seems like you want me to fucking go ham on AIPAC, which I'm willing to do, but we're at an hour 5 and I'm kind of tired. So yeah, I appreciate all the support that you guys give me on this channel, whether it is the free kind, like asking questions, liking, sharing, telling everybody how great my live streams are. If you can afford to do the financial kind of support as well, I appreciate that too. I have a Patreon on my website. You can find it, jaredberenstein.com. I also have a store on my website, jaredberenstein.com/store. And my water bottles that I was selling on tour that say I exercise to outlive conservative judges, and you can bring those to the gym, those are now on my website for the first time ever. So you can pick up a water bottle that you can take to the gym that says I exercise to outlive conservative judges now on my website. Let's see here. And also you can send gifts. You can send gifts on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube. But I am not going to throw anybody any shade for not just giving me money or joining my Patreon or whatever, because I understand that we are living through a cost of living crisis. So y'all got to do what y'all got to do. I am not going to tell a single mom of 5 working 3 jobs that she has to send me money and also canvas and shit like that. You know, just vote. Just vote. If you're stressed out, if you don't have time or the bandwidth for this shit, just vote. That's all you got to do. Kate, I'm Democratic, but I am curious why Michelle Obama stopped talking on healthier food. That's an interesting question. I don't remember that specific moment in politics. You know, she was getting her ass kicked in the media for talking about healthy food. This is the thing. This is the reason why I am so fervently against taking pot shots at the Democratic Party, is because even when the Democratic Party does good things, it gets chopped up and reworded and spit out as a bad thing. For some reason. Michelle Obama said everybody should eat healthy. That got turned into Michelle Obama is going to force you to eat salad. And she's going to say you can't eat hamburgers anymore. Michelle Obama is a fucking healthy food tyrant. Kamala Harris was campaigning with Liz Cheney. And when I say campaigning, I mean she did like 2 campaign stops with her, as a way of saying to the American public that Donald Trump is so terrible that even other Republicans are campaigning for me. And then that got chewed up and spit out to mean that Kamala Harris was a fucking Dick Cheney in disguise. And that she was working with the Republican Party and there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats. Do you guys see what's going on here, man? Al Gore rightly said during the 2000 election that he is responsible for getting funding for the agency that developed the internet. And then that got turned into Al Gore said he invented the internet, and then everybody made fun of him for saying that he invented the internet, which he didn't say that. And he did deserve kudos for that. He did deserve those kudos. So yeah, please open your eyes, everybody. Whenever somebody's taking a pot shot at a Democratic candidate or a Democratic strategy, or they're trying to say that they're this or they're that, like, just look at, is the end result of this electing Republicans? Because if it is, it's sus, guys. It's fucking sus as hell. Alrighty. Let's see here. All right, things have really calmed down question-wise, so I am going to dip out of here pretty quick. M. Holly73 says, kind of the way Trump's words get twisted. I disagree with that, M. Holly. I completely disagree with that. Because Trump says a million things. And so, yeah, we will focus on the things that he says that are completely insane. Because we want people to know that he is saying what he is going to do. He'll say he's going to do one thing, then he says he's going to do the other thing. He is a liar who says a billion things. And I do agree that we should not be focusing on what Trump says. We should be focusing on what he does. But the fact of the matter is, he's a big fucking liar. And there's a huge difference between showing somebody the words that Trump said and then somebody else going, you're taking it out of context, which I don't buy half of those arguments that they're taking them out of context. I think that he knows exactly what he is doing, and his audience knows exactly what he is doing. And there's a big difference between that and a Democratic candidate saying a true thing and then it getting reinterpreted to mean the baddest version of that. Let's see here. Resistance Violet says, but he also invented climate change. Yeah, I don't know what that means. M. Holly says, like the bleach comment. Yeah, I agree with that. He did not say that, you should put bleach into your body. But again, you have to be really responsible when you are the president saying shit, because people did put bleach in their body based on him saying that, M. Holly, And I don't really want to go through a list of things that he said that we think was fair or not fair, The fact of the matter is, if you look at it, you got to look at this holistically. You got to look at the whole thing, He is a liar. He is a con man. He is a grifter. He is a racist. And he does dog whistles. He does racist, schnazzy dog whistles. That is undisputed. All right. Colette says, I thought people loved him because he tells it like it is. No, there's, that's a longer thing. I don't have the what do you call it? Gas in the tank for that. All right, guys, I have to wrap it up because I keep on seeing comments of things that I do want to talk about, but I'm just being like, I can't do that. I'm too tired. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you again for all of the support and the gifts and the follows and the shares and everything. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.